Welcome everybody to the Layer5 community meeting. Today is July 2nd, and we have a couple of items lined up today, and we have a lot of newcomers here as well. So we have a tradition to let everyone who is on the call introduce themselves if they are here for the first time. So Hung Lee Tan, am I pronouncing it correctly? Would you like to introduce yourself? Hung, if you have microphone problems, then you can.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi everyone.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name Hưng. I'm from Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm a freelancer developer and a community builder. Yeah. Nice to meet all of you here.
Nice, Hung. Oh, nice to have you.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is my pleasure to join our community here.
Very good, very good. Hung, riddle me this, if you would. Is it? Or sorry, it's a bad phrase. What time is it for you? Is it still Friday? Or are we in Saturday?
Yeah, it's still Friday. It's 10 p.m.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's only 10. Okay, that's nice. Good.
Yeah.
Very nice to have you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to join the community.
Perfect. That's great.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Aditya. Howdy. All right. Any other newcomers on today's call?
Hi, I am Suhani Agrawal. I am a DevOps engineer. I have 3 years of experience and my work revolves around Linux, automation, Docker, and AWS. So yeah, I am here to enhance my skills and mainly to contribute on the backend and CI part. And I'm happy to be part of this community.
So, honey, we were just on a call like an hour ago, and we really could have used you. We were having. Yeah,
I missed it. Yeah.
We were having trouble with Minikube and using the Docker driver and the networking that comes with that, and so it's refreshing that you're here. It's nice to have you. Good to hear. DevOps is kind of in your focus. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other newcomers on the call? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, and
Yeah. Hello. I'm a third year engineering. I'm currently in third year of my engineering. I'm pursuing computers degree. I'm freelancing currently, and I'm looking forward to learning new things in Layer5 community.
Anuj,
nice. That's good.
Anuj Jubril is one of the community members here, and he was noting that it can occasionally be, well, embarrassing to have to introduce, and sometimes it's not. And the thing is like, when it's not, that's when we need to change things and figure out how to embarrass you. And so I just didn't hear anything embarrassing just now. So could you tell us maybe what your favorite color is, or who your favorite, what's the name of your favorite Barbie doll? You know, I don't know, something.
I don't know any actually, but I like black.
Good. Okay. Perfect. Nice to have you. Good.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi guys, Krishna here. I am right now.
Was that just me or I couldn't hear him?
Yeah, I couldn't hear either. Boy, I totally missed it. Who was just introducing? If you don't mind, can you do it again?
Hi guys, Krishna here. I have come up here by winning an hackathon event, and I usually dwell with machine learning and few computer vision data sets. And I am very glad that I'm able to learn so many concepts here, and would be great to learn few things here. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Krishna, you don't ever go by KK, do you? KK for short? Just checking.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
KK, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Nice to have you, Krishna. Good of you to be here. And Krishna, you were one of the participants in the recent hackathon as well, okay? Oh, perfect, perfect.
Yes, yes.
All right, who else do we have today?
Yeah, hello. This is Bharat. And adding to what Krishna said, I was in the same team. I'm in first year of my engineering, computer science, and I love contributing to open source, and I'm here to learn as much as I can. And yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's awesome. I guess you guys got more than you bargained for at the hackathon. You didn't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's cool. Great. All right. We've got an Ayush. All right. Hey, Ayush PS, have we gotten a chance to say hi?
Hello. Yes, we got a chance to add. I think it was with last month.
Cool. Great. Ayush, your voice was really low. Maybe we'll say hi in chat if we can. Yeah, nice. All right. Anybody else? I feel like there's one more. You can hide, but only for so long. Cool. Okay. If everyone's gotten a chance to say hi, then we're probably good to go. Well, so Shruti, have we said hi before? Shruti.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Shruti. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm second year student from SKIT, and I got a chance to join this community because my team won second prize in JIT hack, and I'm here to learn new things.
Nice. Perfect. Awesome. Good deal. So Anita or Navendu, did we get everybody?
I think so, unless somebody missed, and if you like, you can just jump in right now. This might be the highest participant strength we had in the community meeting. If I'm correct, we have 34 people.
Yes. 35. Few months ago.
35. There was 36 actually.
We'll count it
No.
as 36. Let's leave it at 36. That's great. And by the way, it isn't really about the number. That's probably the only way of kind of measuring it. It's about, well, for me, and it could be different for all the rest of you, and just for my part, well, it's about getting things, learning things, getting things done, sharing what you've learned, taking on new challenges, challenging others, challenging yourself, getting your name put in lights. It's actually about a lot of things. The community itself is about a lot of things. One of the ways in which to describe the community is, well, as a platform for shared success. And so my one piece of advice with respect to how to be successful, at least in this community, is to go get it. Like, be tenacious, go grab something. It's an extremely rare situation that the word no is used when someone says, I would like to do something. So don't hold yourself back, go do it. Nice. All right, a blog kitchen.
Yes, okay, I'll move that to the next agenda. So first I will start with the updates on Meshery and SMP onboarding into CNCF. So we have created a new organization for Meshery and moved all of the Meshery projects into this repository. So recently Meshery and Service Mesh Performance have been adopted into CNCF, Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So we have a new repo now, and also for SMP. And the onboarding process is going well, and we still have to check a couple of items in this list for both the projects, and yeah, once we have done that, we will be officially in the CNCF. And we have also updated the CNCF landscape. So Meshery and SMP would be under service meshes in the service mesh category. And yeah, we are a sandbox project. And yeah. So that's the update. And all of the links are in the meeting minutes. And back to you, or Aditya, would you like to talk about the blogs?
Yeah. Thank you, Navindo. So hello everyone. We have a thing called as blog kitchen. So what I'll just tell you what it is for and what we usually do in it. So basically, you might have seen. Okay, let me just share my screen. Yeah.
Adi, I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't realize this happened. We skipped right over one of today's announcements and right into the topics. And so I'm obligated to interrupt. And that is to say, well, Adi is our latest meshmate. So congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lee.
It had been a while coming. Adi, I think you've had, over the last week and a half, you've had any number of, I think you might have peaked out at a young age. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you can have a bigger week than the one you've had. So if you have other news to share as well, please do. But congrats on becoming a meshmate. It's fantastic. It's a role and a badge that you've earned, that you've been doing. So kudos.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. So yeah, this weeks has been, I would say, pretty happy for me because I got into Red Hat and I became a messmate, and then I got Lift scholarship also. So yeah, it's, I would say that it's a hat trick thing for me.
Yeah, and then like the projects that you've been contributing to are in the head into the CNCF. So now you're
I'm a CNCF project contributor.
on your way to, well, from near as I can tell, like potentially on your way to into a maintainer role. The stuff that you and the Aditya have been working on the docs. Like it's
The structure of the docs.
No small amount of work. So. And so back to the blog kitchen.
Yeah. So speaking of blogs, we have a thing called as blog kitchen. If you guys have seen it in Slack. So okay. Yeah, we don't have any updates before June 14th. Anyways, yeah, what we usually do is, as you can see on my screen, we have layer5.io/blog, where we usually deal with new blogs regarding any updates of Layer5 projects, Meshery, the new interns, and if there's a new maintainer and all. We also deal with new blogs when a new release of Meshery comes, probably like a major release. For example, another blog might come up soon for version 6.0 when it's released. So yeah, and some of the other stuffs where which happens is regarding KubeCon or DockerCon or anything. And to deal with everything and mapping of all the blogs, we have something called as content calendar. So what it basically does is, it is like a place where we can track who's writing what blog, whether he or she needs any help, what and all topics he's going to write about, and where he can find resources to make his blog amazing. And so yeah, that's about Blog Kitchen. And we have some pretty good blogs coming up soon by the contributors of Layer5. So yeah, I would say if you guys are very much interested in writing blogs, you are very much welcome to take any of the topics which is in green. And if you have any new idea that you need to write a blog about on some of your personal platforms or anything, we welcome that also. And if you have anything in mind that you need to write and submit to Layer5 blogs, you can do that as well. You can ping any of us in the Blog Kitchen channel. So yeah, I would say welcome to Blog Kitchen, and hope to see you guys cook some new blogs.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's good. There's some prior examples up there as well of what some people have written about. There's actually a lot of introductory material to how to use Meshery or how to use or other aspects of the projects here that we really haven't written up, like just some of the nuances of Meshery CTL system start. Like almost all of you have run that command, or you will soon, and some of you have had a really pleasant experience, and some of you probably have had stumbled into things. And so there's a lot of other people who stumble into those same things. So writing up a post about that is like there's no post too, there are blog posts too small, too short, but not too small in terms of their technical content. Not everyone can write something like Michael wrote up on the MeshKit and Mesh adapter library post. But like this, this is antiquated. In fact, it's like, it's great. I updated part of it recently just because, but it's from a long time ago. And I like the commands have all shifted around. So we could use a cheat sheet. That'd be great. But there are a number of people, as a matter of fact, Intel has been hounding recently for like, for an answer to this question, which is, how do you do performance management in Meshry? Like, how do you run a performance test? And they're looking for just like a simple video that walks them through that. And there's around 20 engineers in a team that is focused on service mesh at Intel, and they're waiting. They asked a couple of weeks ago. So like, it's that sort of a thing that can be helpful as well, especially if you go to record that, you'll learn a lot in the process. So cool. Okay. All right. Well, next, what are we talking about?
Yeah, Adi, do you want to talk about the hackathon?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello again. We have some great participants and of course the winners from JIT Hack. That's Bharat, Krishna, Gahan, Kanish, Kushal, Shruti Shetty, Shreya Shetty, and a couple of others. Sorry if I missed your name. And coming to your hackathon, your internship specifically. So we will be dealing with mainly Meshry UI. So you guys will be working on a CNCF project itself now, which is pretty amazing. And the internship will be for a period of 3 months, starting from today itself, or let's do one thing. It would be from Monday itself. And your internship manager will be Navindu, and mentors me, Gaurav, and Ayush. And some of the other things which you will be contributing is one thing I'm pretty sure that I will say now. You guys have to contribute to Meshry UI. That's the flagship thing which we have going on. And you guys will be writing blogs before the start of an internship, mid of an internship, as well as after your internship. You will be working with some of the latest technologies like Next.js, React.js. And if you are interested in designing, you guys will work on Figma. And yeah, so I guess that's all. And we will be sharing you a document regarding your internship and all. So I guess that's all. I would say welcome to Layer5.
That's great. So Adi, it sounds like that you, like over the weekend, you and potentially a couple of others might be working on some specifics for the collection of individuals whose names are in the meeting minutes for them to work on. And so I'm here to help as well. I'll try to get a few things lined up. Is there anyone who's participated in that recent hackathon that does not feel comfortable with React? Or, yeah, and so maybe you just feel more comfortable with CSS, or not CSS, just React. Like, those are good things to maybe let Adi know, so that he can be sure to get you lined up in the right way, so he'd be successful. Good deal. That's great. I'm excited for those folks. I'm excited for you guys and gals. All right. Anything else in the venue? Are we on to the next topic?
Also, for the interns, your contributions will be the way and things which will be developed upon, and we are very much excited to see what you guys contribute and what you guys add to Meshery. So yeah, over to you, Navind.
Cool. We might have lost Navendu. As a matter of fact, we did lose Navendu. All right, his internet finally tossed in the towel. So, good news for everyone else. That means more bad jokes from me. And I've got an endless amount. Okay. Sayatan, do you want to talk about some work that you've been doing here recently? And is this also a call to action for some volunteers?
Hello everyone. So we have been trying to shift Meshery from Layer5 to Meshery's own organization. So there are some links breakdown. Like we have to change the Layer5 links to the Meshery links, and that needs to be done in all the repositories. So I think that's a huge lot of task. So if there is anyone who would like to assist, you can just ping me up in the Slack, and I will tell you like what next to do on that. Not only that, there is another one like the health contact levels. That's the link should be changed to the all the 4 organizations. So that is also a big task. So if anyone is interested, you can just assist me. Just ping me up in this. Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
Perfect. Oh, thanks for that. So let me give a little more context as to what Sayatan was talking about, and I'm still working on the enunciation of Mr. Bose's first name.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to come back to that recording and listen to your name again. It's been weeks of me messing it up. So let me share a different screen and say this. So if for all of you that are in the community Slack, there was this announcement about sort of the slow process of getting Meshery and Service Mesh Performance, those 2 projects, into the CNCF. There's a number of you here that have been working on the administrative tasks for doing that. And so some of those tasks are, well, they're a little bit disruptive because we end up taking repositories and moving them around in GitHub. And so those, like it's somewhat pervasive how that each repo almost gets impacted by these changes because things get moved around. And so it's worth, so that's what Mr. Bose was talking about is making some updates across each repository. Each repository needs a couple of things tweaked, and these are a number of these tweaks are just that. They're relatively small changes that need to be made. And so if you're looking to get your commit count up, your contributor count up, go see Mr. Bose because this is an easy way to do that. The context here, though, is that there are 4 GitHub orgs that the projects that you all steward and you all contribute to span. Those 4 orgs are listed here. So there's the Layer5 IO org that is the initial organization. It's the one where if there isn't a better place for the repo, it's there. And so it does have some of the upcoming projects like Get Nighthawk, which I was talking to some of you earlier today. If C++ is your thing, then let's talk about Get Nighthawk. You know, ping me and let's talk about what's going on there. Okay, good. This is sort of the catch-all. This is kind of A lot of community things go on here, some ad hoc repos still. There's the Service Mesh Performance org. Right now it just has one repository, and that is for the specification itself and for the website, smp-spec.io. And then there's the Meshry org. And so it probably has 20 or so repos for the various Meshry components, Meshry and its components. And then there's another one that we've kind of talked around, but we haven't talked about the fact that there's a separate org. So let's pull that up and take a look. What is a service mesh pattern anyway? I see that it is a green windmill twirly thing. Okay, that's good. But the rest really isn't explained on this org. So this organization is lightly used at the moment. If all goes well, then maybe in about a year, maybe a year and a half, this concept, service mesh patterns, would be something of a household name. Or like for those doing cloud native infrastructure, this stands to be quite a powerful concept. And we're not the only ones that are doing this concept. We're the only ones that are doing it in this way, though. We're doing it slightly more novel. So what am I talking about? Okay, so, I don't know how to describe this succinctly. This is, I'm digressing into explaining what this is in part because I think this is just as good of a topic as any other that we would have talked about that we've got on the agenda. So there's an upcoming book, Service Mesh Patterns. It's a book that talks about best practices of how to use different features in a service mesh. And it's the first of what will be probably a two-part series covering not specifically a cookbook on one service mesh, like, hey, here's Linkerd and here's how you configure Linkerd and here's what you do. It will talk a lot about Linkerd, but it will talk a lot about all the meshes. And when it does, in each chapter, there'll be about 30 chapters in this first book. As a matter of fact, it's under early release. So if any of you all have access to O'Reilly's platform, I think I've shown this once or twice, but it's actually worth showing, especially to some of the newcomers, that that the book itself is under early release. So there's a couple of chapters that are out there, and wait a second, this looks pretty familiar. So chapter 1, mesh sync, how to get started with any service mesh. Chapter 1 talks about this thing that you all know, this thing that you all are contributing to. It talks about Meshry. As a matter of fact, the entire book kind of talks about Meshry. That's because Meshry is capable of taking each of the service mesh pattern examples, the examples that are in each of the chapters, and realizing them or orchestrating them, making them come to life, like applying them to the infrastructure and letting people take those examples that will be shown as best practices here, helping people get started and deploying their infrastructure as described by a pattern. And what is a pattern? It's a set of YAML. I think there's a couple of you, so as if we haven't talked about Adi enough today. Adi is, oh, wait a second. Maybe we can talk about Rudraksh as well. So Rudraksh just got done posting an example pattern. And there's a couple of others. So these are example patterns. These are things that Meshry can take and apply. This is still early days for Meshry's capabilities around patterns, but they become quite core to the architecture of Meshry and how it manages the infrastructure. And it is, well, I've said this to a couple of you, but I'll say it to the other 20 of you that haven't heard this, and that is, I was talking to a Meshry user yesterday, and it wasn't a private conversation. So it's okay to say, like, it was an engineer at overstock.com. And some of you are familiar with that company and some of you aren't, but it's not a small organization. And so they've been trying to learn how to service mesh. And they're still debating on whether or not to actually do service mesh things. So they were attracted to Meshery in part because they wanted to understand the difference between the performance of different types of service meshes. And so we were kind of chatting about things that Meshery does today and things that hopefully Meshery will do tomorrow. And when we talked about the patterns, like he almost fell out of his chair, almost. He didn't quite fall on the ground, but he sort of like slipped off to the side. He was taken aback and just really excited about the work that's going on there on patterns. So now that I've talked about it this much, this is another example of, well, like we just don't have a lot written about what the heck a service mesh pattern is and how they get used. There's a single page right here, and it's caveated with the fact that these things are still in flight. It does highlight the notion that there would be this future service mesh pattern repo or org, which is what got us started on this conversation in the first place. And so the thought is that these will be like named patterns, named and numbered patterns that people can refer to. They can use as a starting point for, they can augment their patterns to match what they want to do. And it's not just about the patterns themselves. I had mentioned a couple of other projects that are taking something of a similar approach to describing your infrastructure in this way and working with your infrastructure in this way. For some of you, you're saying, well, yeah, that's what Kubernetes does, right? And that's what it's like, in part, like largely, yes. I don't know how to make this concise and give you concise examples to say that this is slightly different. One of the ways in which Meshery will bring value on top of service meshes is like this example here, is to orchestrate a canary rollout. So some of you are familiar with, and some of you aren't, like the notion of of different types of ways to roll out new versions of your applications, and to do blue-green deployments and et cetera. Service meshes are all capable of letting you control a rollout of a new version of your application. So to split traffic from your current version of the app to the new version, maybe in a granular way and in a slow way that's comfortable. But none of the service meshes today, they all have that raw capability. They will split traffic how you tell them to, but none of them actively orchestrate it based on a strategy that you define. Maybe that's a time-based strategy. So in this case, that's what this is describing. Route a certain percentage of traffic to one version of the service for so long, and then incrementally step it up, and do so dependent upon some measurement, some like health measurement that you're watching. These are things that Meshery would bring on top, is what I'm getting to. So there's a lot more to come with respect to patterns. The short of the story is there are about 4 GitHub organizations that we all work across. And one of those upcoming ones is service mesh patterns. If there's anyone on the call that fancies themselves a visual designer or is oriented towards user experience design, there are some things that we want to do with service mesh patterns. So to the extent that those will be named and numbered patterns, it would be really nice to be able to say, to be able to say, like, hey, the circuit breaker pattern, like that one specifically, this is made up at the moment. We haven't really gotten into numbering them, but the one that's for circuit breaking, we want to provide everyone a visual depiction of what circuit breaking is. as they go to learn and understand that concept. And so if you're into visual design, there's a number of these to be made. So, having said all of that, I'll be quiet for a moment in case people have comments or questions, and then we'll move to the next topic.
Samir has a question in chat, please.
Yeah, so is there a specific mesh-tree operator that takes care of patterns, or is this a collaborative task of multiple mesh-tree operators? Like sort of what are the mechanics behind how it is that mesh-tree, understands and orchestrates patterns? So I'm bringing up a slide deck that's in our. And when I say our, I mean your, because you all should have access to it. And if you don't, please let Anita know. But this architecture deck is what I want to point you to, because if I begin to describe it, you'll listen to me for another 20 minutes. And that's not good. So this is probably the meat and potatoes slide of what mesh-tree is doing with patterns and where they're coming from. And so the most juicy part of the meat here, so to speak, is this. So if you track from zero, this isn't even entirely complete either, because there's a few different ways that patterns can enter into mesh-tree's worldview. But if you digest this one and grok this one, then you're doing good, and we can talk about the other ones. So we'll probably talk more about one of the other ones on Wednesday's mesh-tree development call. There's a collection of you that have been working on a visual topology in which you can visually design these patterns. So yeah, okay, good. Well, that's kind of a deep topic, but what do we have next? There's a couple of things that I wouldn't mind talking about. I'm going to bump them down because I've been doing a lot of talking. So
Dhruv, do you want to talk about Grafana charts for Istio? Dhruv may be having some internet issues. Soham, would you go next with a mesh map depot?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So for those who are not familiar with mesh map is an extension to the mesh-tree project, which lets people visualize and design their service meshes. So we have designed pane over here. What I'm going to demo today is the design and pane functionality that I have developed in the past week. So what we have over here is some components for some service meshes, and we have a canvas. And what the designer pane lets you do is it lets you drag and drop components and design your service mesh before it's actually in a cluster. So last week, what we saw was we were able to make a call to an STO adapter that's running in my local machine, which then returns a set of workloads which are defined in the open application mode. And these workloads can be then dropped into the canvas, which then are converted into patterns, as Lee explained earlier what patterns and pattern fields are. And then these patterns are then used to create, can be used to create actual service mesh So yeah, let me just give you a quick demo. So what we'll do right now is what I'll do is I'll drag and drop an STO mesh over here. And what Meshry does is it requires some sort of a configuration before you can actually design a mesh. So what the service mesh does is it opens a pop-up that, hey, if you want to drop this onto the canvas, you need to first configure it. So I'll configure it. I'll set up a version for STO and click submit. What this does is it saves the configuration onto the current state of the front end. And as soon as I click apply, what it would do is it would send a request to the local adapter that's running that please start please please look at this request that I'm making and look at the patterns that I'm sending you and create this spin up this workload. So if you look at the terminal, wait, I'm not sharing my terminal, I guess. Let me just share it. It should be here. Yeah. So if you look at the terminal right now, this is the window where the STO adapter was running. And as you can see, there was a request that was created where a request was sent from the front end, which told the adapter to create an instance. And then that instance basically is created in a Minikube cluster that is running on my local machine. That is the functionality that mesh map can do right now. That's it for the demo, guys. For newcomers, I guess this can be a little overwhelming, but yeah, any questions are welcome.
So hey, 1 second. Did we take the consideration of dependencies? Like, let's say I am doing the Grafana thing, but Grafana doesn't work without Prometheus. So does my mass map detect that the dependencies has been there?
As of now, we don't check for any kind of dependencies per se, but it's in like in future, we will have some sort of metadata with which we would be able to configure all of that, and a lot of stuff, like if we can actually drop this and between other workloads or not, everything will be added in the metadata.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, to add to what Soham had said is that so hopefully most of you are familiar with Grafana and Prometheus, and one is a visualizer of metrics, the other one is a metrics collector. And so the visualizer of metrics, Grafana, to Samir's point, well, it can't really visualize anything if it can't talk to Prometheus or some metrics collector. And so the two kind of go hand in hand, or at least there's a dependency there for Grafana being dependent on Prometheus. And it gets nuanced. And so one of Meshry's goals is to enable service mesh for the rest of us, because networking is confusing. It's deep and wide, and you can do it a lot of different ways. And we're talking about layers and layers of virtualization here. So it's hard. People make careers out of this stuff. So visually depicting it is important, but also people want to run their infrastructure in a bunch of different ways. So I guess my point here is that we're trying to enable service mesh for the rest of us. And so we want to be opinionated and make the happy path, so to speak, or like the 80% use case path really easy to do. So like, if you are learning about a service mesh, and you want to use Meshry to provision a service mesh and check out the metrics and the graphs and that stuff, then it would be ideal if Meshry just laid down whatever mesh you want to interface, play with, laid down Prometheus and Grafana both, connected to them, and just started reading metrics and actually started displaying them like like right away, like right when you bring up the UI, like great. And we're really close to doing just that. The issue becomes, or like where the logic in Meshery needs to, what it needs to account for is that, well, there are any number of environments that where people are already running a Prometheus operator across, you know, like a daemon set across all their nodes, and they've got their own Prometheus setup. They've got Thanos connected to it, or a Cortex connected to it. You know, they've got like, they're doing their own thing already, and they don't really want the, they don't want to use the Prometheus add-on that comes with Istio, or the Prometheus extension that comes with Linkerd, or any of the other meshes. They want to use their own. And so part of what Meshery, the logic that Meshery needs to have, and this might be something that Michael is interested in, because I'm going to bring up some, and all the rest of you as well. I'm just calling on Michael because he's got a lot more white in his beard than some of the rest of us. And so there's this concept of, well, of Meshery discovering an environment. And the component that does that is called mesh sync. So mesh sync talks to Kubernetes, and it says, Kubernetes, tell me about all the things that are running in your environment, so that Meshery can digest that, you know, internalize it, understand it, visualize it, you know, manage it. Well, some of what it will discover is that, oh, there was an existing Prometheus that was already deployed, and maybe two of them, and they're actually for different purposes, or they have different metrics or whatever, or they're set up in an HA configuration. And as Meshery performs this, and by the way, these aren't newfangled concepts. These are like tried and true concepts of management software, of like network management systems, which is that infrastructure and managed elements. So like a Prometheus would be a generic term for Prometheus, and Grafana would be an element. And as they get discovered by Meshery, they become eventually a managed element. But part of that discovery, there's a few things to track. There's kind of a process, a finite state machine to probably build in, define here, and walk through. The finite state machine would, in this case for discovery, would be about facilitating a process of registration, discovery and registration, and ultimately affiliation, or part of, so to give an example, you take Meshery, you've already got a Kubernetes cluster, you've already got a Prometheus operator running. You run Meshery, mesh sync interrogates Kubernetes, discovers all these elements like Prometheus, brings back that information. And in some cases, oh, that's cool. Can you, okay, anyway. Next time you demo Soham, you have to show the visualizer with the layouts. Those are cool. You, in some cases, will be able to, Meshery will just say, well, hey, I found a Prometheus. Obviously, that's the one that you want to use. I'm just going to connect to that and start showing you some charts. And in other cases, it's like, well, it's actually not really clear if you want to use that, or you want to do something else, or if that's appropriate. And so there needs to be this process of registration where the user needs to come in and just answer a couple of questions. They need to say, yeah, Meshery, why don't you go ahead and connect to that Prometheus? By the way, I've got a couple of Grafanas because of whatever. So I want you to connect that Grafana and that Prometheus together. And I'm going to connect you to 8 different Kubernetes clusters, or 400 Kubernetes clusters with, 50 nodes apiece. Like, there are absolutely environments like this. And by the way, the longer that we go on as a community, as a cloud native community, the trend is generally to have more clusters, more smaller sized clusters than the trend is to have larger, bigger clusters. By clusters, I mean Kubernetes clusters and the number of nodes that they have. So inevitably, Meshery, there will be any number of mesh syncs, 1 per Kubernetes cluster running, sitting there interrogating that Kubernetes cluster, helping keep Meshery in sync to understand the topology and all of the managed elements. So it will absolutely be the case that there will be multiple instances of Prometheus and Grafana. And so the point is that we would do well to begin to articulate and define a finite state machine in which people walk through this process of discovery and registration. Part of registration is that we would define an environment, and that's kind of on the roadmap for Meshery. Soham, if you navigate to the settings, yeah. And here, Meshery today is capable of actively connecting to one Kubernetes cluster. Oh, that's good. That's a good starting point. Like, that's, but it's scoffable. It's kind of laughable. Like any environment worth doing anything materially interesting is running more than one cluster. So Meshery we need to expand Meshery, create this construct of an environment, let people create environments, load up multiple connections to different Kubernetes clusters, multiple connections to different Prometheus and Grafanas. And so Samir, you asked a great question about, is Meshery intelligent enough to track this dependency? Like, for example, between Prometheus and Grafana. And it's like, yes, but, and so, yes, but all the stuff I just said, about like, well, it's pretty environment specific. And so fine, that's a great challenge. It's an interesting challenge. I love myself a finite state machine. I can just imagine diagramming it out right now. Just, but it's something that we all are going to have to think about and help try to automatically register elements where it makes sense. And so today, if you download the latest copy of Meshery and you deploy Istio, and then you turn on, yeah, thank you very much. And then you turn on the Prometheus and the Grafana add-ons, MeshSync will discover, like Meshery will provision those things, MeshSync will discover them, and it will auto connect, or in most cases, it will auto connect. So that's a great thing for all of you to try out. As a matter of fact, there will be certain cases where it may not auto connect. So tune in next time for what are those cases about, like why it wouldn't auto connect, and like also what the hell is a finite state machine. But that's a great topic for Wednesday, in which Michael will be presenting on that topic. Or anyway, it's something we should start to think about. Oh, okay. And so Samir, let's follow up. Just noting the time, I won't digress into troubleshooting your environment. Samir, well, you know what? Okay, fine. Samir, in your environment, do you get 2 connections to Prometheus or 2 connections to Grafana, or is there just a single URL in the dropdown?
No, currently, actually, we are using the centralized Grafana, not from Istio. So because in Istio, I could not do the auto connect from Meshery. So that is where, and also there are few application matrices which were kind of take some additional effort to scrap on. So what we did, we just used decentralized matrix for Grafana.
Okay. We'll follow up with more of your use case, because more of your environment specific. It's good
Yeah,
use case.
because our infrastructure is really getting complex day by day. So
somebody asked me a question about service meshes, and then 40 minutes went by, and so I apologize. Nivendu, back to you, please.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Soham. So we have a couple of items to discuss on the next week's Meshery development call. And we also have some items left from today's call. So again with some of these items, and with that, this meeting comes to an end, and I guess we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice to meet all of you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devendu.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.